For example, if we say there is a variance of 168 million 9,380 in acquisition of assets, do we have a breakdown of why the variance? Because that would explain the progress, so that you would say, out of 168, probably we've been able to reconcile 100. We have a balance of 68 that we are still in reconciliation. Do we have such kind of an itemized so that progress can be measured and checked?
That has been the question from the beginning.
Director, please.
Thank you. Commitments that were probably done in IFMIS but were not cleaned up over time. So that is the exercise that we've been doing in trying to remove these commitments that were not removed over time so that the figures tie. I want to say that we don't have the actual the breakdowns of those figures because it was a cleanup of the system trying to remove those items. Thank you.
You are making it worse. You are making it worse because, from my understanding, that detail must exist. You can go to IFMIS, extract a schedule totaling to 1.7 billion for acquisition of assets. You can go to your financial statements, extract a detailed schedule totaling to 1.6 billion. And you can even use Excel, lookup, to compare the records in the two systems and say that these 4 or 5 items are in IFMIS, but they're not in the financial statement. Surely, this is this one you don't need to be an accountant. You just need to understand Excel.
Please also put it in the context of the time period that we are talking of. Because if I had the Auditor General correctly, they said that these are historical issues from 2019. If it takes the so-called competent workers in the county government 5 years to do that exercise that you have referred to, which is a fairly straightforward exercise, there is reason to worry, Governor. And even when you make promises, then you must tell us. Because if I don't know how much progress you've made over 5 years, I cannot extrapolate and understand how long it will take for them to complete that exercise. So sitting there, and again, very careful with promises. What time period do you anticipate that this exercise will be concluded?
Chair, and secondly, I think, Chair, to make progress, Governor himself has accepted that he will take administrative action. So this is the highest level of incompetency. So I don't think why, unless, and I want to agree with Sifuna, that promise must be fulfilled by showing us evidence of administrative action. Because they have already, the Governor himself, who is the Chief Executive, has accepted there is a problem. So he needs to tell us the administrative action, and maybe, Chair, report in the first quarter or the second quarter of this financial year, the officers, and then, Chair, since we have agreed, you have heard the OAG saying that they have competent accountants, then we write to the ISPAC the way we do so that they can be punished for professional misconduct.
OAG, are you still on site for the current year audit?
Yes, Chair. Currently, we have completed the India, and probably mid next month we shall be doing the final audit of Uasin Gishu Executive.
And so, is this a matter that can still be looked at within the scope of the audit that is ongoing?
Yes, Chair. Every year they should furnish us with the IFMIS statements of receipts and expenditure, and we are supposed to compare it with what is in the financial statements and their books of accounts.
So we'll deal with this at 2 levels. One, we must write a report on these findings, and it covers 20. Must furnish the Auditor General with that breakdown that we are talking about. And as I've said, unless you guys run systems that nobody understands, but any proper basic system, you can extract a schedule from one system, from another, compare, and isolate the historical figures. It's supposed to be a very straightforward matter. Can you, how long do you need to provide that to the Auditor General? 7 days?
Yeah, 1 week, that's 7 days.
Yeah, so ultimately you are the CEO, you are the one to ensure that this is done, Because if we don't get that breakdown, by the time we are retreating to do our report, we will reach the conclusion that those variances are as a result of mismanagement of public resources.
Chair, allow me to make a correction. Let's give us 2 weeks.
14 days?
Please.
Okay, Auditor General, please make sure that in those 14 days, if they present the schedules, analyze them, then you can advise us on when we are doing a report. But Governor, if we don't get that analysis, then I think we will make the same conclusion that a man on the street would make, that where there's a variance between two systems, there has been theft of public resources. Could we then proceed to the next issue? So that deals with a related issue in the prior year. We shall use the same prescription. Auditor General, use of goods and services. I think there were two issues there which you mentioned were outstanding, the legal fees and the insurance costs.
Yes, Chair.
Read your finding on legal fees.
The statement of receipts and payments and note 4 to the financial statements reflects use of goods and services amount of 2,480,235 shillings, which includes other operating expenses amount of 195,780,721 shillings. The other operating expenses further include legal services expenses amount of 6,220,000 shillings, which was incurred on the hire of a private legal consultant. However, the procurement records confirming that the legal services were competitively sourced, details of the cases handled and status of the cases, amount paid and outstanding balances, evidence of court attendance, and case files showing the value of the cases were not provided for audit review. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness and regularity of the legal services expenses amount of 6.22 million could not be confirmed.
Okay, on this, we will allow the Governor to read his response. Because OAG, you said that you are not satisfied with the response. Okay, proceed, Governor.
Okay, Chair. Management response that the private legal consultant, in this case is a law firm of Mulondo and Company Advocates, instructed to defend the county government and in a court case being Eldoret High Court Civil Case number 14 of 2019. Shenabal Limited versus County Government of Uasin Gishu. The case was referred to arbitration, being arbitration cause number 2 of 2020. Shenabal Limited versus County Government of Uasin Gishu, and the same law firm continued defending the interest of the county government. Secondly, the expenditure of Kenya shillings 2,220,000 was legal fees pursuant to a fee not raised by Mulondo and Company Advocates. The law firm is in the list of pre-qualified law firms to provide legal services to the county. The law firm and the county government entered into a service level agreement, what you call SLA, for provision of legal services. To support payment made, the following documents are availed. 1. Payment voucher of Kenya shillings 6,220,000. Letter from the county attorney to Chief Officer Public Service Management dated 25th October 2022. Letter of instructions dated 26th June 2019 to Mulondo and Company Advocates, and the legal opinion dated 29th May 2019 from Mulondo and Company Advocates. Service level agreement dated 4th of January 2021. Fee note from Mulondo and Company Advocates dated 4th June 2019. Court proceedings and arbitration proceedings correspondences. Then all the annexures are there. 2A, which is a copy of pre-qualified legal services. 2B, copy of service level agreement. And 2C, copy of payment vouchers with supporting documents.
Auditor General, you noted that there was still a lingering query. What is outstanding, having considered those annexures and the response from the county?
Thank you, Chair. The final outcome of this particular case, where we had queried outstanding balances, but this particular issue was referred to arbitration. So from there, we have no more information on this matter.
So what do you want the county to explain further?
Whether there is how this matter, whether it has been concluded, and whether any other expenditure has been incurred.
For the expenditure of 6.22 million, that payment was made in the financial year under review.
Yes, Chair.
Is it your view that that payment was for a valid service rendered?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, so what's pending?
Documents had not been provided at that time, but they have been provided. The final outcome of this particular issue.
Okay.
Chair, maybe I agree with OAG because arbitration is also a process where there should be an award and conclusion of the matter. So maybe the governor should tell us the status update where there was an award given or what were the and you know arbitration is still a representation. Whether further payments were made to Mulondo and company advocates. I have seen in Annex 2A the payment and also the contract and also the list of pre-qualified legal law firms that Mulondo was part of it. But I agree with the auditor that what was the final outcome? Because I thought, Chair, when it is referred to arbitration, it should end quickly as opposed as to the normal litigation process. And of course, Mulondo would not be doing arbitration free of charge. I think they must be. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Senator Sifuna?
No, Chair, I'm looking at this annexure 2C, which contains the invoice, and the good thing with the invoices from advocates, they will always specify the value of the subject matter, which is the basis for the calculation of legal fees. If I'm not wrong, the total value, this case involves procurement of graders, I think, for a total sum of 40 million. 40 million 700, so it's 40.7 million. There is a pro forma invoice attached to 2C. Are we together? Yes. Vice Chair. You have become Mutuse.
Are you with us?
Honorable Chair, what strikes me is that if you look at the total value of the contract, which is the total value of the subject matter, it's 40 million shillings, yet the advocate is charging 6 million shillings, 6.2 million shillings for legal fees. That is more than 10%. Yes. These service level agreements that you have, I think there is one here. Doesn't it make any reference to the advocate's remuneration order? Number 3, your own contract is at 2B. On page 3 of that contract, it addresses payment. For services rendered pursuant to this contract, the procuring entity shall pay the law firm as per the advocate's remuneration order. Are we together, Governor? Is 6 million shillings payment against the total contract sum of 40 million shillings in accordance with the advocate's remuneration order?
Okay, CC Finance.
Thank you, Honorable
Chairman, his term ended. We since advertised for another county attorney.
So there's no substantive county attorney?
There's no, but we have a Solicitor General who is not in now.
No, Chair, but I thought under the County Attorney Act, which I midwife, you are supposed to have an establishment staff establishment within the county attorney. So how many lawyers or advocates do you have in your legal department?
can take over in the absence of the county attorney.
But Governor, do you have any advocates within the legal department apart from the county attorney and the county solicitor?
County Secretary, yes, we have. Let County Secretary
So
explain.
none of them is here.
None is here.
Okay, maybe you can go back to Senator Sifuna's question.
Okay, yeah, so there's CC Finance. Proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. I think in terms of that, I think probably the county solicitor would have answered that part of the question. I may not be able to answer that, whether.
Yeah, but
Yes.
you can just give us a comment.
Yes, but as
Paying for a dispute that is valued at 40 million Kenya shillings. If you pay 6.2 million shillings in legal fees alone, and your own records here are showing us that, in fact, this entire arbitration was conducted online through Google Meet. That is what you have attached here. I am a lawyer and I am not against lawyers being paid, but honestly speaking, Governor, 6 million shillings, is that in accordance with the advocate's remuneration order? And this is an arbitration that is being done through Google Meet, an online platform, during the period when we had COVID, nobody's moving anywhere. Is that a fair use of the resources of the people of Uasin Gishu?
Maybe CEO Finance.
Oh no, Governor. I don't know how
No,
I can
I'm not saying
express
anything.
Just as a Kenyan, and who knows the problems of the people of Uasin Gishu, does it look fair to you to pay 6 million shillings for an arbitral process that is concerning 40 million Kenya shillings?
Again, Senator, it is good to also understand when did this thing start?
Governor, address the chair. Address the chair. Yeah.
Sorry, Chair, you know it's facing me, so. Well, I think you have a valid point that 6 million could be on the higher side. But at the same time, it is good to be fair and see when did this arbitration start? When did the process start? Could be that time that the lady gave us this figure. So I want the CEO of Finance.
How is time relevant? What is the relevance of when the arbitration started in terms of the cost of the legal proceedings?
Okay, I think you have a valid point. So how do you want me to answer that? Because naturally, it could be more. But there could be some reason why it is 6.6 as it stated.
Governor,
22 as stated.
Governor, please restrict yourself to the question and avoid that direction that you are taking that would sound like you want to pass the ball to somebody else.
No.
You are the CEO. Your government exists in perpetuity. And if the question Senator Sifuna is asking is it value for money to pay 6 million in lieu of a contract that was worth 40.7 million?
Chair, it is not.
Now, why do you say it is not? If this company went to court, because I've seen the legal opinion which you have attached here, Shanibal versus County Government of Uasin Gishu, civil case number 14 of 2019. And I've seen a legal opinion drafted by Mulondo and Company advocate. The reason you went for arbitration, it would appear, if you read that legal opinion, is that ultimately the courts were most likely to enter a ruling in favor of the company. So what did you stand to lose? Because that's how you measure value for money. It's not just about saying 6 million was what value. You must explain to us that if this matter went ahead to litigation, full litigation, what was the potential exposure of the county? So that you weigh that against the 6 million. That is the direction you should take, not that other direction you wanted to take.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very technical case because it requires a mind of a lawyer. And at the same time, we have our county secretary here who has institutional memory on the same. Allow me, Chair, that he can even respond.
Okay, and let the response be restricted to value for money. Value for money, not stories of time. Value for money.
On procedural, since governor like referring to some of the specific officers, I think it will reach a point they need to take an oath, just like the governor, so that it's only governor who took an oath, so that the other officers might not mislead us, chair. Because another question I would ask whether these wheeler loaders were finally delivered to the county secretary, as he answered that. But if it goes like this, chair, I'll request that they take an oath, so that we take the award seriously, so that in case they lie, of course, the perjury shall come in. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Senator Mufai.
Chair, it's something very interesting to capture Governor say that, the question is just outright. Was there value for money when you pay 6 million? Is it 6 million or something? 6.2 million. Was it really worth that? That one doesn't even require a lawyer to answer that question.
Yeah, because value for money is what you paid.
That's a pedestrian question. Anybody from Rift Valley would want to know that kind of arrangement. How
Yeah,
did it come about?
Weighed against the potential exposure.
Even a mamamboga in the streets.
Chair, I've said it was not worth.
What was
It was not.
What was the potential exposure? Maybe your county secretary can comment, because what we are seeing here is 40 million. But what was if the matter went to full litigation? What was the potential exposure?
Honorable Chair, thank you. I think when I look at it, probably the exposure would have even been more than 40 million, because there would be other claims like interest and all that, and penalties.
So has the matter been settled with finality, having paid the 6 million?
Yes, I think we have attached the arbitration proceedings.
Where is the arbitral finding, the award?
Yeah, because if it has been closed, then that might provide some assurance. But if it's still open to litigation and arbitration, then we will come back to the conclusion that a different decision ought to have been made. So where is the arbitral finding, as you said?
We have the last document in that annexed is the arbitration proceedings. That's 2C.
My brother, Governor, please confirm to me that your staff are competent and they can tell the difference between arbitral proceedings and an arbitral award. Officer who's speaking, does he know the difference between those two things?
Because that is what the Auditor General says they haven't seen. Auditor General, isn't that why you raised this matter? You don't know where the matter lies. Yeah, so just provide us with that. Is it on file?
In fact, Honorable Chair, that document you're looking at is a preliminary meeting of that arbitration.
Because mention was set for September 2020. At the conclusion, Governor, again, these things are fairly straightforward. Do we have that?
Yeah, Chair, it is not here, but we'll avail it.
Is it available?
It is available.
You speaking on oath, can you confirm to the Senate that this matter has been settled to finality?
Yes, it's available.
What about the other party? How much was the other party entitled to?
Depends on the award. Yes. Chair, just say he's not aware, he doesn't remember.
I'm not really aware of most of those.
Is there any officer from your side who knows how they
That's why Senator Chirarge is saying that we might need to put some officers on oath, so that whatever averments they make here are taken to be true and nothing but the truth. Governor, and if it has not been settled, then we will make recommendations in line with your question on value for money. If it's not here as such,
please, we will provide, Chairman.
Chair, in the final observation, as Senator Sifuna say, whenever county officials bring document, they think we are very busy. But he is also a pre-qualified among the lawyers that are supposed to provide legal services for the county assembly, for the county executive of of Uasin Gishu, because the governor has provided a list of law firms that are pre-qualified. But when you come before this matter, Mr. Kali appears on behalf of the arbitrator. So is it not interesting? I thought that's the observation that the committee should note. I thank you, Chair.
Senator Mandago.
Yes, just as an inquiry, Chair. You know, if the county attorney's term has ended, I expected that 6 months prior to the term, the position should have been advertised, and by now we should be having a new county attorney. However, that notwithstanding, do we have an officer acting as the county attorney in that position?
So we have.
There's an acting county attorney?
Whoever is acting is now a county solicitor.
Okay. Senator Cherargei, your issue around Kalia, has it been addressed?
No, it has not been addressed. I wanted to find out from the governor. He is in arbitrated this matter, yet he appears as one of your pre-qualified law firms that you can see the legal services. Don't you think this was direct conflict of interest because they can collude? And then number two, you say there is county solicitor. Is the county solicitor acting as also the county attorney? Thank you, Chair.
You know, Honorable Chair, the question that Senator Cherargei raises is a matter that would only be clarification of the arbitrator. So it is quite interesting that the county government itself does not know how this arbitration ended. And the reason we are insisting on how the arbitration ended, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, is because it has a bearing on the fees. It has a bearing on the fees. And when you see, there's an internal memo here that has been attached on the back page of 2C. An internal memo coming from the county attorney to the Chief Officer Public Service Management. And interestingly, the last line here is forwarding the invoice of the advocate of 6.2 million shillings. And the county attorney is the one saying the amount of 6.2 million shillings is modest and within the advocate's remuneration order. Honorable Chair, that is why this county attorney should be here before this committee. So that because we are all familiar with the remuneration order, he should be the one to tell us how did he arrive at this conclusion that this is modest fee note of 6 million against a matter whose value is only 40 million.
Governor, where were you on 25th of October 2022?
Chair,
Had you taken oath of office? 5th of October 2022. 25th of October 2022.
Yes, I had taken oath of office.
Okay, so you are squarely in the scene of crime.
And so in addition to what Senator Sifuna, I think some lawyers or advocates who misbehave this way should also be reported to LSK, just the way we report to ISPA. Because this lane is somebody that his service has been checked at the county secretary. There is a time that Lane was out of office. When Governor B came on office, you colluded with him to report back to office, and you can see the incompetence.
Chair, let me put it straight.
No, Governor, that's not your question.
I feel I should make some clarification.
No, just to the county secretary. I'm aware that this Lane at some point was not in office before the current governor came in. But when he came in, you colluded to come back. You can see the incompetence and the mess that is subjecting the county to.
Okay, I think let's find a way of proceeding, because if it's bad, it's bad. If it can be explained, it should be explained. Unfortunately, we are not getting the explanations we need. Governor, you said you wanted to clarify something?
The day we processed this was 25th, and it was on the advice of the county attorney. So the other remaining I'm asking that you give us 7 days so that you can see the document that concludes that arbitrary.
Does it exist?
Yes, it exists.
Fine. We direct that you present that for scrutiny, because failure to do so, we will reach the adverse conclusion. that there was no value for money, and this was a case of theft of public resources. But, Governor, we also need to be careful because this is a second matter we have dealt with, and it's a second matter where we are asking for more documents and more time. So I think if that becomes a trend, then we must take a view on whether we should proceed or whether we should allow you to put together all the documentation that is required. Honorable Senators, unless there's any other observation on
even as we attorney, if it finds necessary, you should also appear before this committee, because if he is saying that it is modest, you are charging 6.2 million against 40 million, then it is very unfortunate. So I think the committee at some point we must sanction the former county attorney Lel on this matter. I thank you, Chair.
Okay, so we shall.
Chair, whether, sorry, just 1 second. Whether the question that was asked by Senator Mandago was answered on whether we have an acting county secretary.
We have the county secretary, but acting county attorney. Yeah.
In your report on page 43, where you have listed your contingent liabilities, you have 423 cases. Now, that is a matter of great concern. I think even at your last appearance, we must have dealt with contingent liabilities coming from Uasin Gishu. 423 cases, that is more than 1 case per day. How are you structured internally to be able to handle all these cases and to prevent the avoidable expenses of using external advocates? Because that was the rationale for the County Attorneys Act. Governor, as a CEO, I think this is your question.
Chair, thank you, Chair. The last time I appeared, we had almost 700 cases. But to date, at least you see made progress. We are remaining with 400 cases. That time we didn't have Solicitor General. Right now we've employed him and he's really busy fast-tracking these cases.
How did you move from 700 to 400 cases in a year? Because there must have been determination, there must have been, because cases don't just die because you deleted them from the schedule.
But the fact is it was 700, now it is 400. So I would wish that we have Solicitor General and the legal team to explain to us. Yeah, but we will give you the progressive report.
Governor, the last time we had that conversation, we dealt with it from an advisory perspective.
Yes.
And because we told you, you must have visibility on the cases that involve the county. Because I'm sure some of them go back to defunct local authority days. And really, you ought to be satisfied that if you had inherited 700 cases, now 400 are the ones that meet, it's not even about meeting the threshold. If there were 700 cases at the point of assumption of office, and now there are 400, you should demonstrate that there were 300 cases that were determined, and that's why they dropped out of the contingent liabilities register. I don't know whether there's any other magic.
No, there's no magic.
Moving from 700 to 400.
Chair, you are very right. And because we all live in this country, we know the pace at which court cases move. It is something that we would all want to know. How is it that cases involving Uasin Gishu County have moved that fast in terms of resolution? The danger, Chair, is something you have addressed before, where we have these cases that are filed out of collusion. Then you have consent orders being entered in where the county is paying very serious amounts of money to resolve those disputes. And that is why you're saying even we as a committee must have that visibility. And I am getting also increasingly concerned. Governor, I must say, maybe this is the first time we have interacted. I am a bit disappointed because your colleagues come here and they can demonstrate that they have at least knowledge of everything that is happening within their county. you must keep these things inside. You must have your hands on all of these matters. It cannot be that some officer is sitting in an office somewhere, and if he's not here, you cannot be able to answer those questions. So how are those 200 cases resolved? 300?
Senator Sifuna, you go look at page 11 of 42, page 11
of
this document.
Which one? Your response?
The responses.
Your response?
Yeah.
Page 11.
21-22 financial year. Ended June 2022.
Of your response.
You look at the management response, it gives you the status of the cases.
Yeah, there was an audit query on cases in that financial year.
Yes,
I am lost, Chairman.
And
financial year 21-22, page 11.
I think to contextualize it, Auditor General, you need to read that finding on pending cases against the county executive. Is that the one you are responding to?
Yes.
Okay, so that we deal with them together. Auditor, what was the finding which the governor is responding to?
Chair, let's get to the question.
It was headed pending cases against the county executive, so that we handle the two issues concurrently. They're related.
Pending cases against the county executive as reported earlier.
Is your mic on?
It's
okay.
on. As reported earlier, Annex 8 to the financial statements discloses 109 cases with estimated financial impact of 496 million pending against the county executive as at 30th of June 2022. Further, examinations of records provided for audit revealed that over 700 court cases were pending against the county executive. Management explained that several measures have been put in place to deal with increasing court cases, including the handling the matters in-house, operationalizing the office of the county attorney, out-of-court settlements, and establishment of an independent fund to deal with the court cases.
Governor, what was your response? Because you have referred us there.
Chairman, I was saying I wanted you to see the status as of now, that the last time we indicated over 700, almost 700 cases. Now look at the management response on the status of the cases, particulars of cases, and number of cases. That the number of cases that we won as county government is 265, cases concluded 438, cases lost 173, cases pending before courts, arbitration bodies and tribunals 228, cases inherited from defunct municipality of Eldoret 82, cases against the county government 584, total number of cases 664. So I wanted to say we've made some progress, and that is the status as of now.
Does that 666 at the bottom add up?
Yes, it does.
It is a summation of what and what?
2 and 584 cases inherited and cases against the county.
What about cases pending before courts, arbitration bodies and tribunals? Shouldn't they be added?
They are part of them. They are part of 666.
They are part of 666?
6, yes.
But may I know from you, Governor, is this statistics as at June of 2022 or June 2024? because the matter was raised in the year that ended June 2022. The Auditor General raised a query that the county has over 700 cases. So in your response, you say that you have operationalized the office of the county attorney, you have done out of court settlements and the establishment of an independent fund to deal with these court cases. 2 years later, from 700, you are now at 666. So making a progress of about 34 cases. Because if you say that these statistics are as at June 2024, then that is negligible progress.
And as the governor answers clerks, maybe show us Annex 8. Annex 8 that should be having copies of county cases and their status.
It's there. Yeah.
Maybe, Chair, in addition, as the governor, and I request the governor and his officers to be noting down so that we don't lose any of the question. To the Chair, to the governor, what is the staff establishment of the office of the county attorney? How many advocates do you have? What is the functionality? Because we saw Kilifi has done very well. Number two, this, as Senator Mitt was asked, what is the way out? What is, if you had the county solicitor, who is the acting county attorney, should have given us, what is the way out? For example, you have lost 173 cases. Was the judgment entered against the counties, and how much in case of financial, and the CCM finances here? On 173 cases lost, I've seen your contingent liabilities in your financial statements. What if these 173 were judgments were entered against the county government of Uasin Gishu? How much was it paid for? And in these cases, how many did you appeal? Or in this 173, how many cases did you appeal? And how many did you settle? And how much was it? Because in your contingent liability, in note 9 in this financial year, I've seen you have put around 150-something million through the chair. So on this case, or this one on the 2023 is note 9. If my memory serves me, just chair, with your indulgence, let me just go there quickly for the comfort of Field Marshal and the remnant of Mau Mau in the house. There is contingent liabilities, I don't know, that has been captured in their financial statement. I don't seem to have a view of it at the moment, but I'll just get to it. So my question is, how many did you appeal and how many did you settle, by how much, vis-a-vis your contingent liability? And finally, what is the resolution? Because now you have said the number of cases pending, according to your response, is 228, including arbitration, bodies and tribunals. There are 228 as of today, as of June, as of October. And then finally, Chair, sorry for taking long, my question number 4. These cases inherited from the defunct municipality of Eldoret, they are 82. These are historical cases. What are you doing about it so that you can be resolved? Thank you, Chair.
Governor?
Thank you, Chair. To be honest, we have on the staff establishment, we have 7 lawyers in our legal team. These other details, let me allow the County Secretary to respond kindly.
County Secretary, be very direct to the point.
Thank you, Chair. In this Annex 8, I think there's a detailed report on all these cases, but I want to comment on the 82 cases inherited from the defunct local authorities. Is that most of those cases, even the litigants are deceased, and most of them are actually dormant cases, and we are reducing them. They were higher than that.
Point of order, even if litigants are dead, the estate of the deceased takes liabilities and assets. What do you mean?
Yeah, I meant that most of them actually have stalled and they are no longer being pursued.
But it still appears.
So then, you see, the question that triggered all this conversation is how you are moving from your previous position to the current position. So in this financial year, you have given us a very detailed breakdown, which is commendable, of 666 outstanding matters. But in the subsequent financial year, there are 423. So is there a movement, a document that shows a movement from 666 to 423? Did you, because 666 and 423, that's a difference of 243. Yes. So the 243 cases that in our prior year and not in this year, what became of them?
Honorable Chair, I'll be straight that you will request that we will provide that information.
Now, Governor, the contingent liability is I find it to be a very important disclosure, but county officers take it for granted. You might want to go to the case of, was it Meru, where there was an award of 100 or something million because the county cancelled a lease on a hotel. And then the county decided they can't pay, they won't pay. It has grown to 700 million today. 700 million. All the on-source revenue they collect for a year would go to pay someone who has a court order because the county government did not think it was very, very important. Legal fees, you will never run away from it. So you must insist on full disclosure. Do not accept to be told that your cases have reduced from 666 to 423 without knowing how they moved. Because maybe your officers are doing consents without your knowledge. You have seen 25th of October 2022, your county attorney is giving directions to pay an advocate. And that's why I asked where you are, because 25th of October, you are only 1 month in office.
True, Chair.
So it looks like legal fees is a Trojan horse in your county. And I'm not imputing improper motives on practitioners of that profession. It might not be practitioners, it could be just your officers who are opening those back doors for looting of public resources. Senator Sifuna.
Yeah, Chair, I think there's agreement across the country that you need to look at this question of legal fees in counties. And I know that I think there have been pronouncements with regards to some counties that a proper audit needs to be done just for legal fees. And I agree that even in the case of Uasin Gishu, something needs to be looked at. But there's a point of raised from Meru on the disobedience of court orders. And I have seen even in Uasin Gishu, the county is being slapped with 10 million shillings fine for contempt of court, which tells you there was a court order that was ignored. And then now 10 million shillings again for the people of Uasin Gishu goes to for nothing. So what happens to those officers who incur such expense at the expense of the people of Uasin Gishu for ignoring court orders? And yet all of us are sworn to uphold the Constitution. I think that money should not come from the people of Uasin Gishu. That money should come from the person responsible for the refusal to obey a court order.
To table the facts.
But Chair, you had asked a question, and I think at this point, I would want to actually address that it is not idle that you raised an issue that if indeed in every query, the governor would request that we shall provide documents. In every query, we shall look at it. In every query, we need 7 days. And I think the fairest thing is to allow him time to go and come with the correct documents that are required for this particular exercise. Otherwise, it will be an exercise in futility if in every query that we shall raise, he will be asking for 7 days.
Quiet, trying to observe on this matter of court cases. It looks like even the state has currently given is not neat. And I would urge the governor to go back and really look at the status of the cases currently. Because I have seen even the county secretary saying there are cases that are dormant from the defunct local authority, which means even if they are dormant, at some stage somebody can come and actually bring up the case, and the county ends up losing a lot of money. So I think, Governor, you seriously need to look on these matters of court case, so that you are up to date with what is the current status and what is the position of the county government. Unless you do that, you're going to lose a lot of money without actually even being serious or maybe being found liable for any of these matters. I thank you.
Governor?
Chair, I just wanted to point out the status of cases in Annex 8, that these cases are documented, they are all here, but I want to take the advice that I need to be very keen on the same, and it's unfortunate that we don't have a legal officer here or Solicitor General who would have given us the, the details on the same, but I commit myself to provide.
Auditor General.
Okay, preliminary observation. Governor, maybe I want to borrow the cue from the Field Marshal, Senator Metu, that every question we have raised, you say you need more time to get more documentation. Is it not wise to, at this point, Chair, maybe to get the mind of the governor, we adjourn and give you more time to go and get the proper documents? Because, Chair, what we'll be doing is we'll just be glossing over each and every issue without having a conclusion. Unless, Chair, we will be doing it, and if the governor does not supply further information, we write our report and recommend at the plenary for any other consequence that might be for. Because we have seen from audit 1 to where we are, all matters the governor is requesting for more time to look for further information. I don't know what is the feeling of the committee, because in the past we have made a decision concerning such situation.
I think that's why I was referring to the Auditor General. The query, the substantive query raised by the Auditor General was in the 2021-2022 report. And I think that's what has given rise to Annex 8, which the last time you appeared before us, you didn't have this level of detail. And I think we must have cited that. Now we are able to see the detailed number of cases. I think the question that has arisen is a supplementary question, that we must have assurance that the reduction from 666 to 423 is explainable and it does not leave the county exposed. To that extent, since we are on the ground at the moment, please follow up this matter. We are going to say this is not a matter that we have resolved. This is a matter that remains outstanding. So please look at it as prior issues and inform the Senate accordingly.
And again, maybe in future, you need to come with your legal counsel. I'm scared.
Yeah, so I think on the other issue of concern between that has arisen from Senator Methu and Senator Chirarge, if there's a substantive audit query which has not been addressed and we are seeking further information, we'll take a view at that point. But this was a supplementary question. We want to see the same level of detail that you have put here in Annex 8 for the financial year that we are considering. Honorable members, we will move now to the next issue, which is on procurement of insurance services. Auditor General, you have reported to us that the policy documents have now been provided. Is there anything still outstanding on that matter? There were 11 points that you had highlighted. Is there anything that is outstanding?
Thank you, Chair. The issue number 3, to do with some staff not being on the scheme, number 3 and 4. And number 8 of that amount, I think it was in the other financial year, 2021-2022, a payment to the of 2021-2022.
So the problem is that staff were not covered and the ex gratia payments or of 61 million.
No, not ex gratia, but I think this is financial statements for 22-23. However, this amount of 61,451,370 related to the financial year 21-22.
Now, Governor, you have seen the audit finding there is 1 page plus a few other paragraphs. And for purposes of management of time, I don't know whether your response is point by point or it's another long narration. So if it's point by point, then let's go to point number 3. Roman 3. 41% of your staff were not covered under the scheme. What is your response?
Thank you, Chair. The 41% members of county staff who are not covered under the scheme are the devolved staff from national government who are under NHI, comprehensive insurance cover, and ECD teachers on contract basis. You get Annex 3C, list of devolved staff and contracted ECD teachers.
Auditor General, have you reviewed Annex 3C?
Yes, Chair, we have reviewed Annex 3C. However, there is no evidence that they were under NHIF, and I think some of the ECD teachers were not under any scheme, so it is an issue of equity.
Okay, let's look at number 4 again. You have said you have a problem with the response on number 4.
So does that mean, Chair, that query is not settled?
Yes, because they seem to be related. 3, 4, and even the 61 million. They seem to be related because there seem to be payment for medical expenses for those who are not covered under the scheme.
No, the 61 is not for those under scheme. I think there was a time when in the financial year 21-22, the then insurance provider was terminated, so the county had to pay directly to the hospitals, and they incurred an amount of 61 million. Yeah, the invoices have been provided, but it relates to the financial year 21-22, not 22-23.
Chair, and even looking at Annex 3C, this is just a document, a printout. It does not specify whether it's a document from NHIF or it's just the names, ID number, surname, first name, gender, pay group. It doesn't even indicate that either it was covered by NHIF or which service insurance provider that served on the, following the reading of governor on the issue of on his responses. I can't see the value of number 3.3 because and teachers on contract basis. So even this printout of this ECD teachers on Annex 3C, it is not indicative of anything. Governor, who prepared your documentation because it looks like they were just throwing documents wherever they fit. Because, Chair, what is the essence of this Annex 3C in comparison with the reading of the governor's response? Because it doesn't indicate anything. Even if this was a contract, the ECD teachers on contract, it is not even indicative of the same. Or even if they were using abbreviation, they should have even given at the tail end of the Annex 3C.
Chair, Senator Smith, in fact, I think these three issues are distinct. Roman 3 and Roman 4, looking at them. And Governor, as you look at your document, now that you have given us a list of so many people here, 877 people, just the names, their PF number,
Yes.
their gender, and their pay group, and the job group. You know, the question was not the number of teachers that you have in Uasin Gishu. The question is that we have such a huge number of people who are not covered by any cover. In your response, you say that these people have been covered by NHIF. What evidence do you have in record that the first person here, Makwiny Susan, no, Todd and Cheragat, is covered by NHIF? What evidence do you have in record? Because I wish you even had a sample. Just take page 1 and then give their evidence of being covered, rather than have a list of 877 people, which, I mean, we cannot make anything out of it. And maybe, Chair, finally, I think it is also fair that I mention this through yourself. Sometimes we choose to take written responses. So the document should be able to speak for themselves. They do not require necessarily for the governor to come and explain. If this document, we had said that we are taking written responses, what sense would we have made with this Annex 3C? What is Annex 3C in regards to the query that has been raised by the Auditor General? So, Chair, I would wish that you treat the two separately. Let the governor answer on Roman 3, then we shall go to Roman 4.
I agree.